Freight. The operator that has been constantly speculated on about by many SCR YouTubers over the years. However, today we are going to look at, what if freight came to SCR? Alright, so there are not a lot of trains that we could consider for running on freight, mainly because that freight is dominated by a single train, and if I don't include that train the entire transport community will go mad at me. However, the first that we could consider for running on freight is obviously the Class 66. Freight is dominated by the Class 66, so if freight would have been an actual operator inside of SCR, this would have been the first train that would have been on it. The next train that we could consider for running on freight is, bear with me on this one, the Class 91. With the Class 91 being synonymously known for running on intercity services, it also runs on freight too. With a top speed of 125 miles per hour, it can haul freight services pretty quickly. And yes, SCR may have had a history of lying about the Class 91 coming into the game. Ahem, looking at you overhead wires, it may be a good candidate for running on freight. Another train that we could consider for running freight is the Class 88. Now, it may look similar to the Oreo train that we have in SCR. However, this could be a good candidate for running on freight. In addition, the Class 68 also runs on freight services inside of the UK, so this might be another Class 165/166 incident as seen on Waterline. Alright, so since freight trains have to use a lot of cargoes, sometimes up to 30 to 50 coaches, we need some stations that have dedicated freight areas so freight services can run. The only two stations that we could consider for freight services stopping at it are Port Benton and Newry Harbour. These are because they have dedicated freight areas, as already mentioned. This can also lead us to the routes that freight can run on, and as you already know, the only route we can do is between Port Benton and Newry Harbour. Interestingly, they may share the same tracks as Waterline or Express, except for those unused passing tracks at Newry. Alright, onto the depots section. Alright, as we already said, freight services are very long. So the only depot that we could maybe consider for running on freight is the Faraday Road TMD. This is because it is a pretty big depot that could likely fit a freight train. Other candidates are the Benton siding and the Newry siding. However, due to the fact that freight trains are very long and sidings are better to fit smaller trains, we could say that most likely freight trains won't fit in sidings. Onto the likeliness part. The likeliness for freight to come into SCR is a medium, I guess. Well, one reason freight could maybe come to SCR is because of the different freight areas inside of SCR. For example, the Newry Harbour and Port Benton freight areas, as already mentioned. However, if they do run between Port Benton and Newry Harbour, where will they run? They most likely have to share tracks between the already congested Waterline/Express tracks, which will lead to that area becoming even more congested due to the fact of the sheer length of the freight trains. So that means they may have to build a new set of tracks, but where from? They have to build new tracks which will go through the Benton zone, and that area is incredibly crowded as well, especially on that SCR spaghetti map. I mean, just look. Anyways, that is the end of my rant, and the end of my video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, stay safe and goodbye.